mind-blowing session for you because we just fly to the Seattle to just see the names like Rand Fishkin and Wil Reynolds, over 14 hours of flight, and they came along together in Istanbul. So after that rant, listening Wil Reynolds might be crazy for you. Like I said, it will be mind-blowing, and you will be surprised also. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you, Wil Reynolds.
Thank you. All righty, let's have some fun. All right, so this is what I believe. And you believe it too. And I've been speaking at search conferences for a very long time, so thank you for having me. And I realized I spent a whole lot of time talking about Google and domain authorities and links, and I'm just now starting to see those words being used less in conferences and presentations and keywords, and we're talking more about people and user intent. Just think about what you're hearing. You're hearing about UX. For those of you that have been in search even 3 years ago, to have somebody talk about people was like, shut up, give me some tools to do my job. And this is the other part of that belief system. And this is the only thing I'm going to talk about until I see the change that I want to see. So get used to it. We give Google credit for having very, very smart people working on their computers, right? They're developing awesome things, and the machines learn from machines. Like Google built a computer to basically, I think it was to beat Pac-Man. Like a computer learned how to play Pac-Man and could do better than anybody else within the matter of like weeks. So the computers are learning so fast that I find it shocking at how many of us are trying to figure out what's the number of this that I need to put into this? How often does the word need to show up here? And if I get this many links and this many words, will I rank better? Yes, no, you won't. I can no longer stand on this stage, and Rand had me present at Moz, I think it was maybe 5 years ago, it was my first MozCon, and I rolled out an Excel spreadsheet larger than my wingspan. And it was color-coded awesomeness. And it's had all these different charts and graphs and lines, and this is how you're going to understand what ranks. And then I went back and tried to use the thing and realized that it wasn't working all that well. I had pulled 60 different factors, and it was supposed to show me how I was going to rank. It didn't do a great job within like 3 or 4 months. And I know a little bit about SEO. I'm not saying I know a ton about it, but I know a little bit. So I decided that I was going to just start studying great advertising. Because my belief, and if I'm wrong, oh well, I'm wrong. I lose my company. My belief is that anything that I come up with or my team comes up with to try to figure out what Google's up to or what they're doing, maybe once in a while we find one anomaly. But the other 999 times that we think we're finding something out, we're probably not. We're probably finding anomalies on things that are maybe how we search and not how everyone else searches. So I look for great ads like these. And you look at this ad, and you could, I mean, this is just a picture. A lot of us could take a picture of our, our dad or whoever. That's not my dad, obviously, but our dad in front of an old car in the snow. That's all this picture is. It really doesn't say much until somebody understands how to get people to buy and engage. And they write that headline. Maybe someday Google will get really good at automating that for us. But right now, if you have spent all year this year trying to get really, really, really good at Google, and you haven't spent a whole lot of time getting really, really good at understanding people, you'll never write this. And when you read it, you have... Now, I'm just a student of marketing. I read that, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I want to meet the person who wrote that. Because when you think about snow, I don't know how much of it you get here, but in Philly, we get a good amount of snow, and you can't drive to work, and you're thinking, man, what's the right car to buy so next time I'm not stuck at home? I don't know. What car do the people who drive the snowplows drive? So the best marketers are going to understand people. And we have to remember that all the work that we're doing, it's amplification. Some of us in here are building things, but most of us are doing marketing to amplify something that's already been built. And if it is the segue, it doesn't matter how good your SEO is. It does, but not much. Nobody wants to buy it. Somewhere somebody missed the why people choose to buy, and they came up with an awesome technology solution. Isn't it interesting that we all thought this thing was going to be super cool, but nobody bought one? Just because people think things are cool doesn't mean that transactions and revenue actually happens from it. Or my other favorite example, which is picnic pants. I don't think anyone in here likes to eat off of their crotch on purpose. I do it accidentally sometimes because my son will dump food on me and I'll go, well, it looks good still. But I'm not buying pants to do that. Okay, I'll just wear these that he has not ruined yet, thank God. All right, so I want to remind you all to stop. I think so often we look at these head keywords, and I have data. I have spent years trying to get head keywords ranked. I'll show you some examples from the wedding industry where we have a couple of clients. And yeah, you know, we've got #1 ranking wedding dresses, #4 ranking wedding dresses in the US, right? So yay, who cares? Because we spent so long trying to get those big rankings only to find out that our click-through rates for that word, #1, was less than 5%. Anybody in here got a click-through rate curve that shows the #1 ranking at being less than 5%? I don't think you'll see those. How many of you have used click-through rate curves to figure out what your expected number of conversions and traffic will be? I think a lot of us use those things. I am telling you, I have curves in e-commerce that show less than 5% click-through rates for the #1 ranking for very, very, very big keywords. Learning that was painful after spending 4 years of our lives trying to get that thing to rank. Finally did and found that it wasn't doing squat for us. It was good for the brand. It was doing a lot of things, but it wasn't doing what we had predicted. So I want you all to start thinking about the context of what you're trying to rank, because once we got the ranking, if you looked at the context that ranking was in, it changed over those 4 years. Suddenly, there were more e-com results. Suddenly, there were more images showing up than ever. Suddenly, this little website called Pinterest started showing up and taking all of our traffic, and we weren't represented on those areas, which we'll talk about at a later time. But you know, nobody just goes to Google and is like, wedding dress, and that's it, right? This is what I thought as an SEO. I looked for the high-volume keywords, right, and said, this one's got 350,000 searches a month. I can rank that. Like, our team, we're pretty good. Like, I can rank this. And we get it, and we go, oh, my God, it's not driving any revenue at the levels that we thought. Why? Because we forgot about this. We forgot about the series of queries. That rhymes a lot better in English than, never mind. We forgot about the queries that people searched for before they searched for those big words we wanted. And I have a shout out there to Jono, because he presented this at Search Love a couple of years ago over in London, and it just really solidified what I had been believing. So, you know, the iPhone comes out, you feel great about it, you go buy it, you walk out, you feel like this, it's not actually like this for you, but you feel this way, and then you open it up and you drop it. Awesome. So now you have a cracked iPhone. What I think is really interesting is, think about all the companies who go, I want to show up when people search for the word iPhone. Oh yeah, we want that word. Why? Because people are going to buy iPhones, we're going to sell a ton of iPhones. And how many companies are showing up on the searches that people do after you drop your iPhone? Very few. Why aren't they thinking about us then when we break them? So maybe after I drop my iPhone, I pick it up and it's broken, and after I cry, I say, okay, well, what's that new iPhone cost? Why? Because I'm sitting with a broken one in my hand right now. So I'm trying to figure out, what's the new one cost? I might start searching for features after that. Now think about it. If you were to build resources, so if I worked for a mobile phone provider, and I don't, if I did, I would build out a tool to help you figure out whether or not you should buy a new iPhone or a new Samsung or whatever right after you drop it. Why? Because then I can push you into social audiences, so I can market to you specifically because I know you are walking around with a broken iPhone right now. I know now that that keyword is worth targeting. Now, I could go after the word iPhone. I'd rather know you're walking around the streets with a broken iPhone. So I did a search for should I fix? Just should I fix? That's all I did. And I didn't hit enter on Google. And the third most searched for phrase in the US was, should I fix my cracked iPhone screen? Of all the things you people could fix, your teeth, your cat, your car, not nearly as searched for, I guess, as should I fix my cracked iPhone screen. That's how often people are searching for it and looking for a solution. And of course, none of the big companies actually show up, when in actuality, they all sell iPhones. So why would they not want to show up at that time? Because somewhere, some SEO, just like me, said, we're going to go after the big keywords. See how that works out. And then your kid flushes it in the toilet, and you have to buy a new one all over again. What do you, break your iPhone like every 18 months, it seems like? You drop it, somebody does something to it. So I like to also study words, like more than ever. It's funny, like I've spent so many years of my life understanding how Google works, how Google ranks things, and I find myself actually paying less attention. And maybe that makes me a worse speaker, maybe it keeps me from bringing more insights, but I've started reading words. Like I'm starting to read books on psychology, because in actuality, if I took Google away from you, if I took away keywords and domain authority and scraping and all those things, if I took all those away, what skill do you still have left? If I just took Google and went and Bing and Yahoo and blew them all up, what do you have left? If on your scalable link building strategy, what's that going to solve somewhere? Whereas when you take the time to understand why people buy and the words they use, you can apply that to billboards, TV, email, search. And that's what I'll be showing you all today. So I'm going to show you how to make money by understanding what people want more towards the end. We're going to stick to a philosophy or a belief system and understanding, like psychologically, how people choose to buy things, right? So I said I wasn't going to talk about Google, but yeah, I am. I'm going to talk about RankBrain because I have to. Like I'm a speaker, I have to have a RankBrain slide, right? Man, he didn't talk about RankBrain. I wonder what he thinks about RankBrain. So let me show you what I think about RankBrain. I think the machines are basically learning what people have wanted since the beginning of time. Like, the machines are just going, hey, you wanted this. It's like, yeah. What does the new Penguin do? It probably got rid of some bad websites. Here's an example. So I search for the word cloud computing on Google. I don't hit enter. I can see some of the words that people are looking for. PowerPoints, PDFs, basics, wikis. Okay? That should tell you something about the people searching for cloud computing. Not, can I rank for it? Not, how big does my domain authority need to be? Not, how many links do I need to rank for cloud computing? This is telling you something about the people. This isn't the, oh, well, I should build some PDFs. No, not yet. Yes, you should. But this tells you a thing or two about people. They're trying to understand what is cloud computing. Now, in this room, you understand it, but if you're in the business of selling cloud computing, you might need to understand this. So I think it's incumbent on all of us to stop and ask ourselves, and we did this. We asked our client in this instance, do you think it's worth ranking for a word like that? Now, we believed it was, even though they are, I mean, you know, cloud computing is a technical thing, but for them and for their brand, it was worth targeting a word this broad. They started off, when we started with them, somewhere on bottom of page 2, top of page 3. So we went back to, okay, the keyword research is helping us to understand something about basic human behavior. And it's that this is why we like search and hate salesy marketing pushes. Because we would rather Google search for it and discover and learn something ourselves, then we'd rather have this guy trying to sell us on stuff. We don't want to be sold to. We want to search for it, discover it, and find it ourselves. So now think about what that means on the pages you're delivering to your customers. Because I'll show this later, but what we found is that just changing that dynamic is how we got our ranking. So look at what ranks for cloud computing. Wikipedia listing, snippet, cloud, what is? Images. I'm shocked to see images like images for cloud computing. You have a file on your computer and it goes up into the cloud and then it comes back to all your other devices. It's simple. However, this tells you something about what people are looking for and how basic they are and how they're thinking. So let's look at the dumb money. Because marketers see this term and go, okay, this word costs some real money. Let's throw money at it, right? We're Dell. We've got money to throw at this problem. Now, look at this landing page. Look at it. And think of the words that I just mentioned, or that I just showed you people were searching for. They were asking, what is cloud computing? Does this tell you what cloud computing is? Does it give you the PDFs or the images? I mean, look at the size of this image. Look how many pixels are given to this guy. But what we saw was the images that Google showed us were images of a file going up into the cloud. And then it comes back on all your devices. I don't see cloud when I see that guy's face. Now, what I love about the way that the challenge that I'm putting on myself when I present these things is I'm never presenting something complex. But it should always make sense. That's actually really hard to do because you guys are really smart. Google, when I typed in cloud computing, showed a bunch of images. How many of them looked like him? Now go back and ask yourself, how much screen real estate is Dell giving to the wrong image? All because they didn't just stop and look at what Google was showing you. This is why your ranking report is one of the most dangerous things you have your hands on right now. Because it gets you away from understanding what Google is showing around your ranking, which will help make you a better marketer. What is cloud computing? I don't know, but I'm going to pay $30 a click to tell you hybrid cloud. Well, I don't know what cloud computing is, so how would I know what hybrid cloud is? Oh, shut up and buy stuff. Okay, private cloud? I still don't know what cloud computing is. Look at how often they talk about something that the people just want the definition of. This page is even worse. Someone paid $30 to drive someone to this. And they could have made a landing page that really connected with people if they just did one thing. If they just typed in cloud computing on Google, hit enter, and just stopped and looked at what Google said people want. I bet you they put more time into building this than understanding what people wanted. Crazy. Now let's look at what ranks well organically. Here's Amazon. Amazon we were tracking for this keyword. They were also ranked very, very low, and now ranked very high for this, AWS. Look at the content of this page. Over time, the content of this page changed from a sales page to a page that educated people, and we saw lift. A video. Why? We want to explain to you what cloud computing is. The basics. Doesn't the word the basics start to sound like, okay, you're going to ground me in exactly what this thing is? Not hybrid cloud, public cloud, cloud, by cloud. How does it work? This page changed to talk to people in the way that they were searching and moved from somewhere around 18 or 19 for the word cloud computing to top 5. 6 benefits. And this is all RankBrain. I wouldn't say it's RankBrain. I don't know what brain it is. It's smart. It connects better with people. So when I have to describe machine learning to people, I use myself, because this is the best example I can give you, because I've been watching how the search results have changed for me over the years. So you search for my name, you get all me, 1, 2, 3, all the blue links, the things that are going to show up in your ranking report. 4, 5, 6, me, 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 me. Awesome, as it should be. Then I started watching people modify their search to put in the word Wil Reynolds model. Now I'm wearing my sexy sweater today. I've been working out a little bit. My jeans are a little tighter than they usually are. I'm trying to work my way back into fulfilling the searcher's mission. However, somewhere the machines were realizing that this Wil Reynolds was failing people. And I hope I'm not failing you all right now. They said, well, a lot of people are starting to look for Wil Reynolds model, and we have 2 different Wil Reynolds that we rank for. Well, we rank 1 Wil Reynolds for everything, actually. And they went, but the people searching for model were making the user have to modify their search, then go into image search, and then when they get there and they click on me, a lot of pogo sticking. Not very happy when they see this guy. They're looking for a model. But then they started showing more of this guy, and people stayed around a lot longer. They like the way he looks. I'm trying to fight back starting today. Take pictures. All right. This used to be me, 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 me. And then it was all but one. And then over time, Google started realizing, why should we make the user have to modify their query over and over again to get the attractive guy and get rid of this guy? And you know what's really funny is I say this to people, and it's a joke, but it's true. If you put a bag over my face right now, and you couldn't see me, could you have heard everything that I've said? Right, you could have. If you put a bag over a model's face, could you actually understand what they look like? No. A model's content is their headshot. And the machines had learned that and realized that if people are searching for a name and modifying it with the word model afterwards, and they click on me and they're disappointed, except for my wife and my mom, I hope my mom wasn't like, man, this is an ugly baby. I hope he's good at SEO. So the machines did that, and I watched as the machines got smarter. This is why it's so important to watch the search result. Watch the changes in the search result. Because maybe the reason why I'm standing here talking to you about people is because of this result. Because I started watching, I had all of them, and then I had 6 of them. And then I had 5, 4. And I said, oh my God, the machines are getting more and more data and realizing that people have a better user experience and they show more of this model guy. Notice I'm trying to get like a sweater like him in this picture. I'm trying to get my rankings back. But unfortunately, I look more like this guy. Oh well. But that's machine learning. When you don't solve people's problems, Google will find a way to eventually knock you out. All right. So I had a client challenge us and said, you can only optimize existing content. SEER, if you want our project, we're not going to build anything new. No new content, none of that stuff. We're just going to make you optimize what we already have, and we'll see what you can do with that. So I'm going to show you examples of things that I've learned around how to identify and optimize content that's really good that you're not getting full value from. This is an image, not a web page. Now, what we're told is that images, if you want to rank well on Google, you need content, right? You need indexable content. This page ranks for a bunch of words. The only indexable content on this page is the header and the footer. I don't know why it ranks, but it does. And I'm not going to try to figure out why it ranks anymore. 206 different keywords. And this is for an office brand that sells paper. And some of them have some real volume. Ranking number 1 and 2. So here you go. If somebody searched for high-quality printing paper, you would probably say, well, we need to create content around high-quality printing paper. They just made an image. I don't know how it's ranking this well for this many words. Maybe because there's some lazy competitors out there who aren't building better content than this. But here you go. It's possible. They are ranking. And somehow I guess Google realizes that even when the SEOs put up indexable content, this image somehow is probably a better solution than what a lot of other people have put up. The bad part is that it doesn't rank as well on the mobile because, as you can see, it's kind of cut off in places. You can't even pinch and zoom because it's an image. So what would I do if this was my client? I would take this image, rebuild it into a web page in HTML, and just give it back to them. You want to find opportunities. So what we're trying to do at SEER, and especially because it takes so long to get SEO stuff implemented, we are challenging ourselves to find ways that we can add value in the first 3 days. How can we find things that you've already produced that have added value and are solving problems for people but are under-optimized? Looking for things like this is one of those ways. And trust me, while you're waiting for all the other things to get done on SEO, your client gets impatient. Your boss gets impatient. These are the kind of things you can do to continue to show value while you're waiting for some of those bigger things to get done. So, one of the things I think is really easy to do is talk to somebody in your company, a CEO, a CMO, or somebody who's done this big initiative. Every CEO has a big initiative. Find it on the web, and find how under-optimized it is. And I'll show you an example of something just like this. So here's this great tool from the North Face. Look at it. This is going to be an amazing experience. I went to Scotland with Rand in March, and I was looking for a jacket, and I found this website from the North Face, and it goes and pulls all the traditional wind patterns, weather patterns, what's best for Scotland at that time, and they just show me 4 answers instead of a bunch. And then they keep asking me, do you think it's going to rain? Do you think it's going to be windy? And as I answer all these questions, they continue to give me better answers. Amazing, right? Like when you search for something, do you really want 200, results, 1 through 200, so you can click on all 200? No, you wish somebody was there to guide you through the process. This is an amazing thing that somebody at the North Face was really probably proud of. The unfortunate thing is it doesn't rank for anything. You can't find it. And I'm in a room of search professionals, and I guarantee most of you can't find it. I showed it to you. You saw what it does. Now go try to find it. I'd love to see you guys Google it. Let me know. Raise your hand if you find it. Or yell out bingo. I'll give you a high five. What's crazy is when I used Answer the Public, I could see one of the groups of questions people were asking is, which North Face jacket? Any bingos yet? Still can't find it. I'm in a room of people who search for a living, found something that somebody spent $1 million on, and you guys can't find it. This is how you create value for your client super early. So people are searching for which North Face jacket is the warmest, which one's the best for skiing. That tool answers all those questions, but you can't find it. And this is where you build brand equity, value. Oh, we've built something that will help you solve that problem. All right, since nobody found it yet, here, you found it. What'd you search for? Oh, North Face Jackets choosing tool. Awesome. Now, the cool part about that find is if I didn't show this to you and you just wanted to buy a North Face jacket, you probably wouldn't type in North Face Jacket User Tool. Why? Because you didn't know what tool exists to do it. So I showed it to you and it took us that long in a room full of professionals. Imagine your grandmother trying to buy one for you for Christmas. Impossible. All right. Here's the words that it's found for right now, according to SEMrush's database. None of those words have which. Which one should I buy? I'm asking you, which one should I buy? You have built something that tells me which one I should buy, and it's not indexable. Find something that someone in your company just loved, built out, it was their big project, and find where it's not ranking. And remind them that you can help them get more value from their baby, the thing that they wanted so badly. Look at what does rank for the word, which North Face jacket is the warmest? Product, I'm not ready to buy yet. Bad answer. Paid search ad, we're not going to even talk about that one. Look at the meta descriptions of these. So your ranking report is telling you, oh, you have the #1 result in AdWords. You have the #1, 2, and 3 result in organic. So if you're looking at your ranking report, guess what you're going to do? Done. I've got #1, 2, and 3. Next, let me go research RankBrain. When the #1 answer is actually a Yahoo answer. From 2009, 11, and 13. Do you think that they've made newer jackets since 2009? Probably. North Face comes out with new stuff every few years. So as a reminder, your job's not over when you get a ranking. A ranking is just an opportunity to show that you're solving a problem for a customer, for a person. I think we've forgotten that too. We talk about search volumes, and we use the word query. Most people don't search for sport. Some of us do. But most people have a problem. They want to find an answer. And I think that we've forgotten that along our way. So I'm going to keep moving. Another great example. TaylorMade built this amazing golf club selector. Teaches you which irons to buy. It works really well on the mobile. Like you can draw which way your ball goes with different clubs, how far you hit it. Really interactive, in-depth tool. Probably cost around $500,000 US. Their competitor, Callaway, built a very similar tool. And I'll show you what happens when one looks at search and one doesn't. So if I typed in golf club selector, there's TaylorMade, there's Callaway. They're both indexable. They're ranking for something. One of the most important things is when I typed that in, I could see, like Rand was talking about, some of the other words people are looking for. We're talking about app optimization before, and Rand nailed it towards the end there about like certain queries are done on phones and you see different intent. But like people are looking for apps, Android apps, whatever, right? This is how you start to understand what people want. And then you ask yourself, are we building towards that? Callaway ranks for 815 different words with their golf club selector tool that's really interactive and well done. TaylorMade only ranks for 114. Both tools basically do the same exact thing. Both tools are really, really well built. They walk you through the process. So both are really good. And then you've got this global golf. Like if you golf, you've heard of Callaway. You've heard of TaylorMade. Have you heard of globalgolf.com? Oh, typical SEO stuff. So think about it. If I can give you paragraphs on how to buy the best golf club, or if I can walk you through, are you a beginner? Yes. Are you right or left? I'm right. How far can you hit your driver? 350 yards. No. Then I'm helping you to figure out. I'm walking you through and guiding you through a process. So I landed yesterday at 1 o'clock in the morning in Istanbul at the airport. And somebody was there with a sign that said, Wil Reynolds. I went, thank you. It's late. That's all I wanted. And they go, we've got a car for you. And I went, oh, thank you. I don't have to whip out my phone and open the app and try to figure out exactly where I am. And then the car drove me right to the hotel. And when we got to the hotel, somebody opened the door and said, Mr. Reynolds, would you like me to bring your bags in? I went, yes. They said, Mr. Reynolds, your room is already ready. We knew you were arriving late. We have a little bit of food for you. I went, oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you so much. All of those things I could have done with my phone searching, but I didn't have to, and it felt a whole lot better. Doesn't it feel great when when you're traveling and you go to a hotel or you're traveling and somebody takes care of you, like this wonderful group has, from the minute you get there until the minute you leave? It's not that I couldn't Google stuff. It's that it just feels better when somebody walks you through a process and doesn't make you have to read 15 paragraphs of content. But they rank because it's SEO. So they got more words than the other sites do. However, Callaway's also up there without all those ugly words and paragraphs. And I guarantee over time, this will have a much better chance of ranking than that. When I want to pick a golf club, a set of golf clubs, I don't want to read. If I wanted to read, I'd buy a book. When I Google it, walk me through the process. All right. So, anybody here ever think they'd search today for the word shopping? Would you ever search for the word shopping? Anybody? God bless you. Usually when I ask that, people are like, no, why would I ever search for the word shopping? I'm like, right, like why would you do that? And this is a reminder of context and change in people's behaviors. Because it's not a bad keyword to target. I targeted that word in 1999 for Barnes & Noble when there were like 5 websites on the internet where you could shop. And guess what happened? It made millions of dollars for them in 1999 through 2002 when I worked on that project. How could the word shopping make millions when we don't search that way anymore? In 1999, your mom, your dad was like, I hear you can shop on the internet, on your computer. You can go shopping on your computer. They didn't know where to go. So what did they do? They went to Excite or Alta Vista, and they typed in shopping. And it made my client millions. Today, stupid word, right? Like, why would you go after the word shopping when people know how to type in exactly what they want? Back then, they didn't. This is why you can't just build your keyword list this year and just use it again next year. People are changing how they search at a very, very, very rapid pace. And the words that worked well for you at one point may not work well for you today. Mobile, obviously. Near me searches, if you do any Google Trends, you'll see near me searches started spiking around 2011. People did not search that way. I loved searching for things in Google Trends where it was flatlined up to a point and then took off like crazy, or the other way, which is where it was really high and now people don't search that way anymore. Be careful of continuing to rank for a word or going after a word because you wanted it and not looking at the context of how people have changed how they search for that word. What's also important is looking at what's around your #1 ranking. So I was doing an analysis for a brand in the United States around banking. We call them CDs. It's a banking tool, it's kind of like a savings account. And Capital One is the brand name. So this is great, right? People are searching for your brand name and what you do, and they want to know your rates. But even though they ranked #1, the rich snippet was coming from an affiliate. How does an affiliate outrank the brand themselves? I'll show you why. First of all, the problem for the company wasn't that they were outranked. This is one thing you have to understand when you work with brands. It's that the information was actually wrong. But if the information's wrong, and you click on this website and then click over to Capital One, you don't blame Credeo, you blame Capital One. It's just like local search. If you search for something on Google, and you show up and that place doesn't exist, you don't blame them, you blame Google. As if it's Google's fault. It's human nature. Oh, Capital One was wrong. You weren't even on their website. So how does it happen? When I looked at Credeo and I did keyword research to understand all the major words around this phrase that people were searching for, I looked at what they answered. People wanted to know how much the minimum deposit was. They wanted to know what the annual percentage was. They wanted to know for 1 and 5 year. And you saw people searching this way. They wanted to know if it was safe or if there was insurance on this thing that they invested in. They wanted to know if they could do this online. So this page was answering all of the users' questions and doing a really good job of it. And notice, no paragraphs. Thank you. I can scan this page and get my questions answered. I'm being walked through all the questions. I would have had to go back and search, go back and search, go back and search, go back and search. Now I can just scroll through and get most of my questions answered. So out of the top 10 concerns we found with this savings account, 5 of the top 10 were answered on that page. Then we compared it to the brand. We found that they were answering 2 out of every 10 on average. It doesn't matter if they get the snippet or not. What matters is that when you get there, we're not being that person that walks them through. Oh, you probably care about this, you probably care about that. Instead, I got to read all this crap and click open now. So obviously, when you're searching for, when I'm searching for banking products, you can type in what it is, and then you just hit the letter P. And even just when I was doing research in the money market account space, I could see people wanted to know the pros and cons. They wanted to know the penalties. They wanted to know the penalties for early withdrawal. And this is just on the letter P. So if I'm going to build out my content on money market accounts, then I need to understand the concerns people have. So as I write my content, I'm writing it to walk them through all the concerns they're going to have. What I don't want to do is make them have to search over and over and over and over again, because every time they have to go back to Google to find what they wanted, you're taking a risk. You're taking a risk that they're going to find a paid ad. You're taking a risk they're going to find a brand that they already know. You're taking a risk that you might not rank for that word. This is why you have to build out more robust content. And you want to walk that user through. Hey, you probably want to know if this is safe. Let me tell you how it's safe. Blah, 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 blah. You probably want to know the pros and cons. Here are the pros and cons. And walking that person through may keep them from having to make a bunch of different queries. All right. I'm going to keep going. All right, so I'm going to show you some quick hitting tips as we're wrapping up to kind of take some of the philosophy around solving problems for people, understanding their problems in some really quick ways. So at SEER, we changed 8 meta descriptions. This is something you all can do by the time you leave the conference. So I will give you some quick hitters. So we looked at PPC ads and looked at the conversion rates on those PPC ads, checked them out, saw our PPC team was testing ad copy like crazy to try to entice the click. Our SEO team was like, we wrote the meta description like 2 years ago, it's done. PPC people were like, people change. Let's keep trying. Let's keep testing. So we looked at our old descriptions, edited them to some newer descriptions based on what the PPC data was, where we were seeing ads that were getting high clicks, and we added in a couple of words in these ads, like 2016. Why? Because somebody looking for a wedding dress, a bride, sometimes they want to know, is this the New Year's model stuff, right? So we're already preparing our 2017 strategy right now. So when 2017 comes and they start searching, we already have content that speaks to that recency. And then like our meta descriptions were written by an SEO. It's probably written by a guy. Like there was no words in there around like feel great on your wedding day, be gorgeous. It was like wedding dress, 2017, white. You know, you're like, oh my gosh. Let's write something a little more reflective of what somebody's going through. Let's make sure we understand that they wanted things that were recent. They didn't want old stuff. And we wanted to talk about how you might feel in this dress. And it's like, well, there's no search volume for gorgeous wedding dress. I'm like, right, who cares? This is how people choose to buy, or certain people choose to buy, based off of ad copy tests that were run in PPC. So here's the data. All we did was have our client change 8 meta descriptions. They're making another $16,000 a month by copying and pasting in 8 meta descriptions. If you have access to change a meta description on your website, do some of the tactics I'm showing you, look at those meta descriptions, just ask yourself, am I actually writing a description that actually helps people to buy? Or am I doing something that's got the word in there once or twice, check, 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 and I got to get somebody else to write the next 1,000 of these? What's interesting is, over the next 3 years, assuming we don't change it, unless we try to continue to improve, because it's hard to change tens of thousands of pages every week or every month, it's a 3-year impact of changing 8 pages or $200,000. It's just meta descriptions. It's just keyword research. It's not hitting enter on Google and seeing what people are looking for, understanding their problems, and then saying, let's try to write descriptions that better tell them, hey, over here, we actually solve your problem. That wasn't a failed test. But the rankings never went up. The rankings never went up. But yet, the revenue from those same pages went up we expected to drive $200,000 more in revenue over the next few years. How many of you would optimize a page that already ranks #1? You wouldn't, because it already ranks #1. No. Go back and see how you can get more out of that. Test PPC ad copy so you can get the long-term value of writing better descriptions. Got another one for you. And it's back in my wedding dress vertical, because I'm spending a lot of time in there with a couple of clients. So you type in peach bridesmaid dresses, and you can see all the different ways people search. This is what people actually want. Now, if we look at the results, where are those reflected? Shop, orange, wrong color, bridesmaid dresses, free shipping, returns. Alterations available. Did anybody ask about alterations? No. So why are you taking such limited real estate with alterations? New rewards. Did anybody ask about new rewards? No. Why are you taking up that real estate with the word new rewards? Join now. Join what now? What do you want me to join? I'm looking for a peach bridesmaid dresses. Do you want me to buy one every 5 years because you think I'm highly likely to get divorced? Like, it's crazy when you look at how marketers just aren't looking at Google and saying, this is what people want, and then building ads that reflect that. Now, there might be reasons why Nordstrom does this. Maybe they want to market to their existing customers. But come on now, this is PPC. I can take my list of customers, upload them to Google, and then give them those ads that say join now because I know that they're part of my customer base, or that there's new rewards because you're an old customer, so you're looking for the new rewards, I guess, and then show people like me who don't typically search for wedding dresses a different ad. Look at how much is missing. People wanted short, cheap, chiffon, under 100, for sale. People were price sensitive. They wanted certain styles. They wanted certain lengths. They told you what they wanted. Nobody really did it. Now, paid did it well. These guys did it great. I'd follow these guys because they did exactly that. They knew that they were going to connect better with the customer. If they said, are you looking for under 100? Why, yes, I am. Well, how did you know I wanted one under 100? I don't know. I was typing words in on Google and saw that, like, people were typing in under $100, so I put it in my freaking ad copy. This isn't rocket science. It's really not. But it's funny, when I talk to a lot of people in search, I'm like, oh my God, like, we're not doing this. It took me years to uncover it, so that's why I'm sharing it with you. These two ads don't actually show any of the modifiers that were in the top 10. None. Instead, we're going to say, spice up your outfit. Free shipping and returns. Shop a vast variety of clothing. I don't want a vast variety of clothing. I said I wanted a peach bridesmaid dress. It kills me because this is about just automation and scale, and my ad shows up for everybody. How about we actually treat these people like people? They're lost. They're trying to find answers, and we're treating them like something that should be scaled. You know what? Whenever you're treated in somebody's scalable process, don't you feel like crap? Don't you hate it when some sales guy or girl sends you the automated email that, oh, I saw you open my email, let me send you another one because you haven't responded in 3 days. Let me send you another one and another one and another one. How would it feel in terms of scale if when you showed up to your hotel, they just went, we have a robot that says, welcome, Mr. Reynolds, would you like me to carry your bags in? It wouldn't feel great. All right. So SEOs, I know you're probably in the room looking at your PPC team like, yeah, good job. You guys just waste money, and I can't get any money for content. But actually, we're worse. I looked at the whole first page of results and only one mention of the modifiers. One. And all you have to do to put those modifiers in is don't hit enter on Google, see what people want. All right, so I just want you to open your eyes to this. I'm not asking you to do anything other than stop hitting enter on Google, open your eyes a little bit, and better connect with your customer. Here's one of the tools that'll help you to get all the search suggests at scale, called Infinite Suggest. And then I'm at time, so I'm going to leave it here. Ranking just is not enough anymore to drive success. I want all of you to think, once you get that ranking, and you've worked so hard to do all the SEO stuff you need to do to it, start then thinking about the people. Start thinking, am I solving this person's problem? Throw that URL into SEMrush and see what other words it might be showing up for that you might be accidentally matching for that you could do a better job. So since I'm at time, I want to make sure I can take time for questions. Thank you so much for your time. Sorry. I just want to get to the end. All right, done.
Maybe we can ask for a question, if you mind.
Sure, I'll take a question.
I think you are all hungry, but maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, there's a question.
Yeah.
So all of that makes sense when you explain it like that, but how about client expectations? Like, clients come to you, and still we're seeing clients who are expecting ranking movements and these other technical SEO things. How do you explain to them that they should be doing this?
Oh, it's simple, because I track back to revenue of these efforts. I go, okay, me and my team are going to go away for a day. You give us access to your PPC. We're going to come back and see what we find in terms of how your ad copy and your meta descriptions connect. And the last time we did this, you had to spend 15 minutes copying and pasting, and we made $200,000 for you over 3 years. They go, okay, go do that. I have clients now asking me to edit their meta descriptions more with real writers than to do crazy, complicated SEO stuff because it was 15 minutes of work for them and $200,000 over 3 years on 8 pages. So yeah, show them the money. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you all from lunch, so thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Wil.